So we are still in the spontaneous physical manifestations. We are on item 88. Item 88 starts with such manifestations. So just read 87 and so we know what such manifestations are we're talking about, okay? We already read 88, but we can just read it again to have a better continuation of the book.
We'll start with 87.
Thanks.
Okay. Spontaneous manifestations are not always limited to noises and raps. They sometimes degenerate into veritable racket and disturbance. Furniture and other objects are flipped over. Various projectiles are hurled about outside the room. Doors and windows are opened and closed by invisible hands, and window panes are broken. None of this can be attributed to illusion. Order is quite often very real, though at times it is only apparent. A racket may be heard in an adjoining room, crash of diningware as it apparently hits the floor, logs of wood rolling around. Then, when one runs to investigate, everything is found to be peaceful and in order. However, leave the room, and the turmoil starts all over again. Such manifestations are neither rare nor new, and there are few local chronicles that do not contain some account of this type. This is no doubt that fear had often exaggerated the fact. It had assumed gigantically ridiculous proportions when passed from one person to the next. The help of superstition, the houses in which such phenomena occur have been considered as being haunted by the devil. Hence all the fantastic and horrifying fables of ghosts. Deception, on the other hand, has not lost the opportunity to exploit such credulity to its own profit. Even when they are reduced to reality, one may certainly understand the impression that incidents of this kind can have on weak characters who have been exposed to superstition.
Sorry, but it's choppy. It's hard to understand. People are complaining that I don't know what's going on with your microphone.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I
Paco,
think it's better. I don't know if Paco can read. Otherwise, Philip can read. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't hear it. I hear it clear. So I'm glad you told me. I don't know.
Yeah, no. People were talking. Were complaining on the chat.
Okay.
Philip, you're there now.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you read? Yes.
Maybe. Where do you want me to start?
Hands.
Heads? Hence. Okay.
Hence.
Hence,
Yes.
all the
Hello,
fantastic.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Can you start on 88? Read it again
Again?
because it's very choppy. I don't think anybody was able to really understand.
Oh my God.
It's not your fault. Don't worry.
Okay.
Such manifestations are neither rare nor new, and there are few local chronicles that do not contain some account of this type. There is no doubt that fear has often exaggerated the facts, which have assumed gigantically ridiculous proportions when passed from one person to the next. With the help of superstition, the houses in which such phenomena occur have been considered as being haunted by the devil. Hence, all the fantastic and horrifying fables of ghosts. Deception, on the other hand, has not lost the opportunity to exploit such credulity to its own profit. Even when they are reduced to reality, one may certainly understand the impression that incidents of this kind can have on weak characters who have been predisposed to superstitious notions by education. The safest way to avoid the troubles that can arise from these incidents, because they cannot be prevented, is to make the truth known. The simplest incidents become frightening when the causes behind them are unknown. When there is finally widespread familiarity with spirits, and when those with whom they communicate no longer believe they are dealing with a legion of demons, fear will disappear completely. In La Revue Spirit, many authentic occurrences of this kind have been recorded, among which are the story of the rapping spirit of Bergzabern, whose nasty influence lasted 8 years, May, June, and July issues of 1858. That of the spirit of Dibbelsdorf, August 1858. That of the baker of Grand Vents, close to, oh boy, Dippy, March
Dieppe.
18th. Say it again.
Dieppe.
Dieppe, March 1860. The one on Noyers Street in Paris, August 1860. The spirit of Castle Nordry, entitled L'Histoire d'une Dame, February 1860. The one of the manufacturer of St. Petersburg, April 1860, and many others.
Thanks, Philip. So the such manifestations that Kardec is talking about here is obviously phenomena, physical phenomena that is happening inside of some buildings, some establishment that have no physical cause, and once everything else is ruled out, it is concluded that it's being happened by an intelligent force present, and with further investigation of Kardec, of course, we now can say it's produced by spirits. If that time, not everyone could say that, because of course, the science of spiritism was just being introduced to us. But it's important Kardec let us know that those phenomena, those little things happening in those houses, or big things in some cases, were a lot more common than what it has been known. That most of what he calls chronics over here, today we call the media, does not show them, does not present them, perhaps because the victims or individuals who are suffering those, witness those effects, would rather not go and make it public, or because, perhaps because there was some kind of fear of the media to put those to place those things in their chronicles, in their papers, like at that time. But again, as we spoke in the first time, and I have to repeat a million times, it happened since the existence of humankind. Once there was one incarnate spirit, one discarnate spirit, there was mediumship, right? These things did not start with the Fox sisters. It started before. This one, what we have now, was being documented, what being put in chronicles as Kardec used. But it always happened. And the thing is, when they are made public, unfortunately, it comes with tremendous amount of exaggeration most often. And because of our preconceived ideas, because of our bias, because of especially interested institutions that promoted them tremendous amount of fear concerned spiritualistic phenomena, it creates a tremendous amount of fear. And fear, as you know, is a byproduct of ignorance. when you have fears and tremendous exaggeration of the facts, it becomes very hard to debunk all this and present the truth. Kardec says over here that the safest way to avoid the troubles that can arise from these incidents, because they cannot be prevented, is to make the truth known. It's not all that simple. And we can see today, the state of our country today, can see that what is the truth? It's very complicated to bring the truth, especially when the minds are corrupted with fears and exaggerations. But we have to go and present the truth in a way, and perhaps someone will open their minds, will be able to go outside of the box and see the truth. Because there is no other way. Light dissipates darkness, but one must want to open their eyes to see the light, and that is the difficult part that we find. And the last paragraph, it just presents many cases. One of them is in heaven and hell. Most of them is present in his monthly magazine that he wrote, and these are all cases of documented physical phenomena. Can call that poltergeisters or anything of that matter, but those that he presented here have been documented, have been published, and are uncontestable. Question, comments?
All these Spiritist magazines mentioned here, Spiritist Review, they are published, and you can find them on the if you want to check in 1858, 1860. We have from 1858 to 1862 all the Spiritist Review published, and it's a very, very good source of information, of reading on the origins of Spiritism in the beginning that we're studying in the first part, and in this in mediumship.
Yeah, the good thing of initiating the introduction of the Spirit's book and what you read now, it's kind of complement one another a lot. What is you read in both parts of the studies. Okay,
Continue.
please.
89. Manifestations of this nature often assume the character of bona fide persecution. We know of 6 sisters who lived together and who for several years awoke in the morning to find their clothing scattered everywhere, hidden in the ceiling or ripped and cut to pieces in spite of their precautions in keeping them locked up. Often, persons have been lying down but perfectly awake and have seen the curtains thrown open, or their covers and pillows violently snatched away, or they have been lifted into the air and sometimes even thrown out of bed. These events are more frequent than one might think, but most victims keep quiet out of fear of being ridiculed. We know that due to these facts, some of these persons have been subjected to medical treatment for deranged individuals as though they were experiencing hallucinations. And as a result, they ended up actually losing their minds. Medicine cannot comprehend such incidents since it will only accept material causes, a fact which has led to disastrous errors. History will someday comment on certain treatments of the 19th century in the same way it comments nowadays on certain procedures of medieval times. We perfectly accept the fact that some of these instances are the work of malice or malevolence. But since it has been significantly verified that they are not produced by any human, we must conclude that they are, according to some, the work of the devil, or according to others, the work of spirits. But what spirits?
Okay. So as we spoke last week, that the the physical manifestations may have may be produced or may be caused with positive intentions of doing something, of alert us of for our attention for something that's important. In the case as we study today, the sciences in Paris trying to call attention to the spirit of truth to bring us this doctrine. But when you see cases of physical manifestations that causes disruption to people's lives, that put people's lives even at risks, as we saw the case reading over here, people being thrown out of bed and no things being thrown at them, you would not expect that to be coming from anything that we call good spirits, enlightened spirits. Anything that you suggest to us become from someone with good intentions. So obviously, since now you understand that the phenomenon of mediumship can be used by any spirits, the good and the not so good, with good intentions and not so good intentions, we wanted to conclude that this kind of manifestation that disrupts people so much, to put people at risk, can only be coming from ignorant spirits, to put it mildly, right? And let's assume there is a case of spirits that are persecuting someone. That is exactly what they want. I mean, I don't want to use the word obsession now. It's too early in the game to be use the word obsessors. But let's assume that a spirit's trying to cause harm to someone else that is incarnate. This someone may or may not um, reveal those facts. They may or may not talk about it out of fear. And Kardec puts over here, these events are more frequent than one might think, but most victims keep quiet out of fear of being ridiculed. We know that due to these facts, some of these persons have been subject to medical treatment for deranged individuals as though they were experiencing hallucinations, and as a result, they ended up actually losing their minds. So that's exactly what very often a spirit is trying to harm an incarnated person wants, to lead them to actually lose their minds. And when they seek help for the phenomena that is happening, for what they are witnessing, they will be ridiculed, or they will be considered to be having some psychiatric conditions. They may be placed in psychiatric um, houses. They may be subject to pretty horrified treatment, especially at that time that we didn't understand much of anything. Shock therapy, which is being used today and is with tremendous successful because now you know how to dose the amount of shock patient of electrical shock can be given to someone. At that time, they didn't know. They just give a big volt of electrical shock, and really hurt people. They may use insulin. I mean, giving insulin for someone who is not a diabetic, or even if he's a diabetic, without monitor many things, it's just expose them to a very high risk even of death. So besides the fear of being ridiculed, which even today is a real thing, you run the risk of being labeled as crazy, and once you are labeled as crazy, you may be placed in some pretty much life-threatening treatments. But they always happened. And of course, one would not expect to become from anyone with good intentions. So, as we know, that could not be coming from good spirits, could not be coming from the work of the devil, as many ignorant people would say. Got that question: what spirits would be doing this? And as we read, we may come to to the answer to this question. Comments, questions? If not, let's move on.
90. Highly evolved spirits, like serious and responsible human individuals, do not enjoy themselves by causing an uproar. We have often interviewed the spirits involved in this type of phenomena about their reason for troubling someone's rest, and have found that most of them have only wanted to entertain themselves. They are frivolous spirits rather than evil, who laugh about the alarm they cause and the futile research their victims undertake in trying to find out the cause of the commotion. They will often attach themselves to individuals and entertain themselves by troubling them everywhere they go. At other times, they attach themselves to a particular place out of pure caprice, but they sometimes do so out of vengeance, as we will see. In certain cases, however, their intentions are more praiseworthy. They want to call attention to themselves and to establish communications, whether to give useful advice to the person whom they are addressing or to make a request for themselves. We have often seen them ask for prayers or the fulfillment of some obligation they were unable to accomplish. Others, for their own peace of mind, want to mend a wrong they had committed while alive. It is usually a mistake to fear their presence, which may be untimely but not dangerous. The
So,
desire, okay.
yeah, otherwise it's going to be too long for you. Okay, so here Kardec start to try to answer the question, but what spirits? And it's not to say that highly evolved spirits do not concern themselves in disrupt the lives of anyone else, right? So who could be those? And Kardec had the opportunity through assistance of mediums, of course. Most often was mediums of psychography, were able to interview those spirits who are causing those physical, performing those physical phenomena. We're going to differentiate the word cause and perform. They are performing those physical phenomena. And Kardec says pretty much 3 or 4 types over here. One of them, the first one, those who just want to have fun. There's nothing better to do in the spiritual world. They are bored and they find this pretty amusing that they can create so much fear into people and make people run for their lives and not being able to sleep. They just want to have fun, with no idea of the consequences of their own actions. Just plain ignorant, not really bad individuals. There are those type who is really attached to one place for whatever reasons. And don't want anybody to, they don't want to share that space with anyone else. Um, there are those who done for personal reasons, out of revenge. That would be a case, of obsession, to be pretty much an established relationship, of course, because are you not going to seek for revenge to someone who had done nothing to me, So in this case of revenge or vengeance, it's a case of a personal relationship right there. And lastly, the ones who really seeking for help. And the only way that they find to call their attention to receive our help or even to ask for prayer is to perform those physical phenomena, as was the case of the sister Fox with the very first communication that they received in that house. So basically, who are those spirits? Now, Kardec present four types over here. One, those who just want to have fun, those who want to seek vengeance, those who are attached to a place, and the ones really in tremendous amount of need of help, who use the spontaneous phenomenon to try to get our attention. As Kardec leaves clear over here from the beginning that these are not elevated spirits, they are not really good spirits, even if the cause is not malevolent, because they create tremendous disruptions to people's life, and a more evolved spirit would not allow themselves to disrupt people's lives like that. Okay, comments, question?
Hey, Elmo.
Mhm.
Just wondering here. The reincarnation itself already presents a lot of challenges, so I'm just trying to understand for a person that go through that to being challenging from both sides, pretty much, going crazy in this life with all this at that time, or maybe today with this spirit influence. So, what would you say? What one can learn, or what's the purpose, if you will, of being challenged um, with, the spiritual challenge and also the challenge that we face while we are reincarnated? Because pretty much, reincarnation is a way of us to take a break from everything in the spiritual realm, so we can, try to evolve a little bit. But if you are facing challenge from both sides, it's kind of hard to deal with both at the same time.
Yes, I was having that discussion yesterday with my wife and Jesus at home, that we have a tendency to divide our life. It's like now I'm incarnate and then I'm discarnate, as if it stops and restarts, it stops and restarts, and we forget that we just have one life. It is one continuous event into eternity. Sometimes in this continuum, without any breaks, we are attached to a physical body, sometimes we are not. Okay? And which actually that was the topic of the reading, was law, action, and reaction. If you plant good fruits, you're gonna sow sweet fruit. If you don't, if you plant sour plants produce sour fruit, you're gonna sow sour fruits. Now, that may happen in the spiritual world, that may happen in the physical world. But regardless, it's the law of action and reaction. Regardless, it's consequences of something that you have done. Or it is a tremendous learning experience that you're going through. But if something is creating so much disruption to your life, it's exposing you even to an early discarnation, so to say, it leads us to believe that it's likely, you can never say for sure, that you are having an opportunity to repair some mistakes of the past, to to undo some mistakes of the past, or to reshape relationships that you have to reshape, that likely the second part of that relationship in this is in the spiritual world right now, and likely not too happy with you. So we're not gonna chop now. Oh no! Now I take a break because I'm incarnate. I can only deal with things dealing with the physical world. No, it is one continuum of our existence, and whatever you've done, we generate consequences. I'm sorry, and those consequences you may have to deal that with them in the physical or in the spiritual world or in both, until we learn the lesson and are free from it. It will be very nice if you say, oh, now I'm incarnate, I don't have to deal with this current spirit anymore. And then you go back to the spiritual world and say, now I can shut off completely anything of the physical world because I'm in the spiritual world now. There is no such a thing. It's a continuum. And we're going to have to deal with the consequences of our actions continuously. And you have to go to the trials that leads us to become a better persons continuously. Obviously, being here, associate to matter, have this dense body as a buffer, gives us a little break. It's true. It does give us a little break. Because if you're in the spiritual world, it'd probably be worse. But we are not free from our responsibilities just because we're incarnate.
Understood. And but if just thinking about what you said, even if a person is troubled by spirits, at this time we already cause way more trouble than just a couple of spirits harassing us here. So then falls the question that even though those spirits might be troubling us here, we're not dealing with the totality of our mistakes, right? It's still the action, reaction, cause and consequence. You say there is still like a protection, and they're not gonna not they nah, our acts were not gonna be throwing at us at once. Otherwise, it would be failure after failure, right?
Yes, but first of all, I have to think of the others also. So let's say that I was a slave owner or a slave master in few reincarnations ago, and I was a pretty mean guy and did a lot of bad to dozens and dozens of individuals, and I have to deal the consequences of my actions, and I will because the divine injustice demand that from me. But let's think of the other side of those who are victimized by my ignorance. How many are really seeking to persecute me? How really not move on and forget about Elmo, have better things to do with my life now? It's maybe, out of the many that I hurt, maybe one or two that is cannot forgive me, cannot and have access to perform these mediumistic phenomena, and are coming after me. Although my responsibility with many, not all of them are really wasting their lives and their time coming after me. So if each one of them, yeah, then I would be in serious problem. But then you have to put a few things together, right? You have to look at their side also. Those who once waste their time with me, those who have the know-how and are able to produce the phenomena. And another thing, it still requires a medium to facilitate the process. Is there a medium in the vicinity to facilitate that process so they can disrupt me as much? So there are many things to be considered, but primarily that if indeed, if we have to suffer obsessive processes from everyone that have hurt in the past, probably we would not even be able to reincarnate. It would be bombarded with so much negative energy. But let's look at ourselves. No, people has done something to us, and we say, "Let it go. I have better thing to do with my own life."
Thank you.
Okay,
Continue.
please.
The desire to be free of them is understandable, but the way used to do so is usually the opposite of what should be done. When dealing with spirits who are merely entertaining themselves, the more seriously they are taken, the more persistent they become. Like ornery children who bother people, even more, the more impatient they become, and who frighten the timid. On the other hand, if people were simply to laugh at their antics, they would tire of them and leave their victims in peace. We know someone who, instead of being annoyed by them, urged them on, challenging them to do this or that, so that after a few days they went away. But as we have said, there are some who act with less frivolous reasons. Therefore, it is always best to try to find out what they want. If they ask for something, their visits are sure to cease when they have been satisfied. The best way for obtaining information is to evoke them through a capable writing medium. From their responses, one can determine who they are and may act accordingly. If an unhappy spirit is involved, charity requires treating it with the attention it deserves. If it is a deceptive spirit, we may deal with it directly. If it is evil, we must pray to God to enable it to become better. In all cases, however, prayer can only bring good results. On the other hand, solemn exorcism formulas only provoke them to laughter. They are of no consequence to them. If one can communicate with them, one should distrust the burlesque or scary titles they sometimes give themselves in order to entertain themselves at the gullibility of their audience. We shall return to deal with this subject in more detail, as well as the causes that frequently render prayers useless in the chapters Haunted Places, number 9, and Obsession, number 23.
Thanks. So Kardec's telling us that in order to resolve a problem, you have to understand the cause. In order to treat an infection, we need to know what is the vector, what is causing the infection, right? So what Kardec's telling us here, if we conclude that what is happening to our life, those disruptions, those spontaneous physical effects phenomena are happening, and it's being caused by spirits. So let's try to understand the spirits. Let's see what's going on with that spirit. Why is that spirit doing such? What's that spirit's intention? What is guiding that spirit to do such a thing? By understanding the spirits, then we can find the proper way to remediate the situation. Spirits who just want to have fun, the more we challenge them, the more persistent they are. You know, it's like little children. And, and very often, if you just go along with the little game, they lose interested. When they see them not scared of you, You cannot really affect me. They're gonna look for another victim, and it's not, again, it's not an established relationship. Okay, let's assume there is an established relationship. It's someone from the past who believes they have the right to make just to their own hands, and they are after me. Then they require a work of disobsession over here. Now that you understand what that means. So what Kadek's telling us is that we have to make use of the treatment available. If you have a physical problem, if you have a pneumonia, if you have cancer, you seek medical attention. You go to the hospital. You go to the specialist who can take care of this problem. If you have a psychiatric problem, you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. If you have a spiritual problem, you need a spiritual solution. No, and now we can say, not perhaps not at the time Kardec, if you have a problem of spirits disrupting your life, you need a spiritual center. It's simple as that. That's what you need. But that is through in a spirit center or through a medium, you can get get to understand that spirit, so you can help that spirit. And in reality, that spirit needs help regardless what the intention of that spirit needs help. And if you wants to help yourself to get rid of that problem, you're gonna have to help that spirit. Very often, both sides needs help, and that basically is what Kardec's telling us here. But we can go a little farther on because we have all this literature available for us that Kardec did not have available at that time. Okay. And again, he talks about prayer, always useful. No, do not disregard the value of prayer. And exorcism, the best, it can give some temporary relief. It's taking the cough medication that relieves your coughing, but the real cause that you're coughing is because you have a tumor growing in your trachea. So it's just a little short temporary relief of the symptoms of the problem, but you're not going to resolve the problem. At the best, exorcism will give a temporary relief. Most often, not even that. Your spirits will be laughing while the exorcism is still be taking place, according to Kardec.
Hey, Elmo.
Mhm.
Uh, what's your take on, because even though our science is well developed, sometimes we have a physical problem science cannot help us. And I think that might happen with the spiritual problems as well. Sometimes even though you're in a spiritual center or in a spiritual whatever you go in order to help you with those kind of problems, sometimes they might not be able to, and we might not know why, the reason why. So what do you think a person that already tried help on talking about spiritually speaking cannot be helped should do in a situation like this?
I think the first, I would be more optimistic and say that problems can and will be resolved. Problems exist to be resolved, and they will be resolved. It may take tremendous length of time, but one might persist in the resolution of the problem. The first thing that one must do is look at oneself. What is it about me that I'm not helping in the situation. You know, what can I do? It might not in the direct relationship with that spirit, but in my daily life, my real life, what I'm doing. And I can use the example of Divaldo, which I know is a stretch. I don't think none of us are at the level of Divaldo, but we can use this example. You know, dealing with a very tough, very difficult obsessor, was able to, that almost led him to suicide, by the way, so powerful was that spirit, and was able to convert, so to say, that spirit through his daily life to what he does normally, not in direct relationship with that spirit, but serving an example of humanity that he did on a daily life. From the time he wakes up, from a relationship with everyone around him and everything else, was able to transform that enemy into a friend. And that's the only thing that we can really do now, and be persistent in goodness. Because again, if I was a mean slave owner of the past, I might have a couple of guys over there who are not willing to give up and make me suffer everything that they had suffered in the past through my hand. But if I conduct myself in a proper way, in a moral, ethical way, perhaps I will minimize the effects on me, not completely eliminate, because I do have responsibility. Just like Divaldo could not, being Divaldo, still had that obsessor disrupting him. Okay, but persist in goodness, persist in doing the right thing, and eventually the problem will be resolved. It may last an entire incarnation. It may last a couple of incarnations, but persistence in goodness is the solution. And make use of any available um, means of this obsession that we can use.
Thank you.
Yeah, the problem here is like in the medical field, there are challenges that we face that you don't have answers for yet. You know, if you got a glioblastoma multiforme, it's gonna kill you and gonna make your life pretty miserable, and we don't have an answer for it. That's the truth. But it's one thing when you're dealing with an obsession, it's even more complex because now you have two minds, you have two intelligences, and we have to modify the minds of two individuals, and that's a challenge. It may take more than one incarnation.
Mm. Wow.
But we, at least I think we should, and I am very optimistic and very convinced that the good prevails. We just have to stick to it and be persistent. Oh, that was good. Continue.
91. Although they are produced by less evolved spirits, these phenomena are quite often caused by spirits of a higher order for the purpose of demonstrating the existence of incorporeal beings and a power superior to that of humans. The repercussions that result from them, the very horror they can stir up, call attention to the matter and end up opening the eyes of the most incredulous, who would otherwise think it simpler to regard the phenomena as effects of the imagination, a very convenient explanation that dispenses with searching for others. But when objects are turned over or thrown at people's heads, it would take a very complacent imagination not to see that the incidents are real. If something occurs, it obviously has a cause. And if a cool and collected observation shows the effect to be independent of any human will or material cause, and that it furthermore shows obvious signs of its own intelligence and free will, its most characteristic trait, people will be forced to attribute it to a concealed intelligence. But who are these mysterious beings? That is what Spiritist studies have revealed in a way that is hard to dispute, thanks to the means such studies have provided for communicating with them. Moreover, okay.
So this is quite repetitive. With I feel that you read this a few times already in different ways. But I call the attention here. That's what I said. Cause and performance over here before. It's cadexes over here. Although they are produced by less evolved spirit, these phenomena are quite often caused by spirits of a higher order. Or what is it caused but not performed? Okay, because again, more evolved spirits cannot produce the physical phenomena because the incompatibility of their very ethereal spiritual body or perispirit with more dense matter of the physical world. But they may hire, so to say, or contract less evolved spirits to perform those phenomena. So the cause is with the high evolved spirit, but the performance is done by less evolved spirits. And when I say less evolved spirit, just say I'm just meaning that it's less morally and intellectually evolved, not say malicious or anything like that. Okay. They may, those more evolved spirits, choose this approach to call our attention. I think they have to be quite forceful, very obvious that there is intelligences without a physical body that are capable to produce phenomena much greater than we can while with our physical bodies. With unbiased investigation, which should be done, and in any kind of phenomena, we concluded that it's come from Kardec put it mysterious beings, intelligences without a physical body. And the work of spirituals as a science is to reveal this world of the spirits, to reveal those intelligences and bring to us what they have to offer when it's good, and at the same time that we can bring to them what you have learned to help them in some cases. Because the communication, again, those are the phenomena may have from spirits well intended, and for those who have ill intentions. So for the one with the good intentions, let get what they have to offer. And for the ones with the bad intentions, let us give to them what we have to offer. Okay? Questions? Continue.
Moreover, Spiritist studies have also
Let's just
taught
finish that one, this one then.
Sorry? Elmo?
Yeah, just go ahead, Philip.
Philip is reading.
Moreover, Spiritist studies have also taught us how to determine
I got
what is
mute.
real.
Can you hear me, João?
Yes, Philip
Can you
is
hear
reading. Elmo.
Yeah, I got problem again here.
Yes,
Hold on.
Philip. Yes, Philip, go ahead.
I can.
Moreover, Spiritist studies have also taught us how to determine what is real, false, or exaggerated about the phenomena we have not witnessed. When a strange effect occurs, a noise, a movement, or even an apparition, the first thought that should enter our minds is that its cause is completely natural, because that is the most probable one. We must thus search for its cause with great care and not accept the intervention of spirits unless we do so judiciously. This will enable us to avoid illusion. For example, someone who receives a slap or blow from a cane to the back without being approached by anyone, as has happened, could not doubt the presence of an invisible being. We must caution ourselves against reports that can be considered to be more or less exaggerated, and also against our own impressions, so that we do not attribute an unseen origin to everything we find unexplainable. There are many simple and natural causes that can produce effects that appear quite strange at first glance, and it would obviously be superstitious to see spirits. Wow, what happened? To see spirits
I don't know.
everywhere,
Yeah.
occupied with overturning furniture, breaking windows, and causing all sorts of domestic disturbances that may more reasonably be attributed to our own carelessness.
Okay. I'm not sure if Elmo is back here or he can talk, because he was having some problems. So what Kardec is telling us here is,
You cannot
do
hear
not
me?
think I have. Yeah, now we can.
Yes, I have to change my thing. Having a lot of problems here today. Um,
We all are.
my very first lesson in medical technology, the very day of class, what the teacher told us was, do not have any expectation. So when you're going to perform a test, whatever it is, a urinalysis, a blood test of any source, do not have any expectations. Do it without expecting anything whatsoever. And this is important for what Kardec's telling us here is, you have to do a completely unbiased investigation for any phenomena that happens. Most often there you have a natural cause. You have noises in the back of your house, on the top of your house, and things that you don't know what's going on. Once you do a truly unbiased investigation without an expectancy, you're likely to find the cause. You do not find any physical, mechanical cause, then you may think it's coming from spirit. And I think especially for us, spiritists, who studies phenomena, who read all that stuff, it's very likely that we may have an expectation already that, oh, it's a spirit. It's my guardian angel, it's my obsessor, depends on the mood that you are.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
It is important that we do the investigation without any expectation, without any bias, because we bring our spiritist knowledge as a bias already to the investigation. And we have to take that aside. You have to do investigation as if you never heard anything about spirits. The same way that I should do a urinalysis completely free of expectations. Just because I know that the guy smoke marijuana at a time, and I pick up that sample, I already conclude that he has cannabis in the urine. That's dangerous. That's wrong. So it's completely free of any bias, completely free of any expectations. Do a thorough investigation. Most of the time, it says over here, you're gonna find a natural cause, something mechanical, something physical. When everything is ruled out, then yes, we consider that it's come from the spirits. Okay, comments?
I have a question, I guess.
Please.
Uh, okay, this constant interaction between spirits and souls. Okay, I'm using the right terminology now. No, spirits are there and souls are here. Is it a constant interaction, or is it something that, you know, is it an everyday occurrence? That constant interaction between spirits and souls?
Yes, but you're not talking
Okay.
about real physical phenomena, right? The interaction is
No,
constant.
no.
The
Just, you know.
interaction is constant. So all the time we are being bombarded by spirits with all kinds of intentions. Yes,
Oh, okay, okay.
but not the physical phenomena.
Not the physical phenomena, but the other. Just like we are bombarded with interactions, not only from spirits, from other souls in our daily basis.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm using the right terminology in terms of spirits and souls. Yeah, okay. Okay. Get it.
Yep. Good. Our time is up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Someone to make our final prayers, please.
You have to ask someone else because
Okay,
otherwise nobody volunteers.
I can do it myself. Right. And we give thanks to our spiritual benefactors, the good workers of SGNY, who are always with us, assisting us when we place ourselves with them to try to understand ourselves better. We give thanks to Christ, our leader, to God our Father, asking that we may be guided and inspired throughout the week to perform our duties as citizens and as Christians to the best of our abilities, that we may be protected, that our loved ones may be protected, that the true Christianity may prevail in this moment of crisis, the harmony overtake the chaos, the truth may prevail over the lies and disruptions. May we give our participation in the process with our prayers, with our thoughts. And with this in mind, I ask permission to close this meeting. So be it.